Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Cammy and Karen Go Keto, where we are working on a transition into a lower carb keto or carnivore lifestyle. And, not only in what we eat, but how we think and feel about food. And today we're going to talk a little bit about carbohydrates, where we are with them in our diet, where we think we want to go, or where we are in the process of that, and carbohydrate cravings and what keeps us potentially wanting to eat more. So I'll just hand it over to you, Karen. And we were having some discussion before we started recording. So, what are you up to as far as your carbohydrates?
All right. Hey, Cammy. Thank you. And hi, everybody. So I'm working on this transition of not eating out as much, and yet I have not cooked any. I've made two meals since our last, like in 2 months, I've made two meals. So the transition is slow. I did switch back to going to McDonald's and not going to Mrs. V's for very much for like about there's a 10-day period, and that was mainly for a cost issue. And I could not eat the McDonald's or refused to change the McDonald's food so much that I gave up the whole entire bagel. So I was eating the half a bagel, and that wasn't working. I think that was making me crave. I think that just half a bagel, I think is enough. And the other thing is, I wasn't eating two eggs and stuff there, so I was just eating the one egg and the bacon. So I don't think it was enough food as well to keep me satisfied for a longer period of time. So I went back to the Mrs. V's, and Kimmy and I were talking just a little bit ago offline that with Mrs. V's, it's got chorizo, it's a skillet with chorizo, sausage, couple of eggs, and some cheese, and some pickled jalapenos, and I always get the hash browns on the side. And I just have a tiny bit, and I slather them with butter. But I do the butter and the hash browns, or the hash browns, I should say, because like they cut the heat a little of the jalapeno. And I just don't like the idea of eating that skillet without the jalapeno, even though I have eaten it without the jalapeno and without the potatoes before. And I think part of me is saying, oh, well, I'm not going to order it that way yet because I'm just going to transition to eating at home. And so I have looked at a couple of recipes, and I think I just have to make my own recipes at home. And, I'm hopeful I will start doing that in the next few days. I found a couple of really great breakfast sandwich recipes that were made with the mini dash, that was basically a chaffle, like a flat chaffle, and then they just put egg and cheese on it and just use, not egg and cheese, bacon and cheese on it. And I thought, well, hey, I could do that because I don't like the idea of frying up an egg or whatever and putting that in there, but there's already like two eggs in those chaffles. So I might give that a try this week. And I also, because I like to have it hot and I don't like to warm up egg bake. I don't like to make egg bake. So I've got to look at the change up some recipes just so I whip them up right there and then, like, and it's easy, right? Breakfast is easy. You just throw a couple eggs into something and add cream or cheese or both. So I'm going to work on a couple of recipes, I think, um, this week, and this is
Okay,
Wednesday.
very good. So what can we do to support you in eating at home? Because you've been working on this for a while, right? We've been trying to what can we do to support you? Do you want to come back on in 2 or 3 days and let us know how it's going? Are there things that you need to set up
Um,
better at home?
no, and I'm not even sure how much I'm going to. The eating at home is two things. It's saving money, and a little bit of saving time, but I kind of looked at it now as maybe it's not so much the time saving, because I do need some time. That's like my real decompressing time because I work from home and because I help take care of my mom at home. It's all day at home. So it's the time that I go away and I don't, I have a lot less stress when I'm there,
Is it
not eating at
possible
home.
Is it possible that you could think of the time that when you prepare your meals at home and you're cooking, is it possible to, put some AirPods in and listen to music, or like make that your time? Because that's what really helps me when I cook at home, is taking that time to do something good for myself, to be an example of taking good care of myself, is cooking and preparing my food at home. And so when I look at the time that I'm doing that, that's what works for me. Is that possible for you?
No, that's not something that really like motivates me. My thought would be more to get my food done and just go out and go somewhere else and do something. Like I could go to the storage lockers during that time period, to take that time off, or even go outside before it gets super cold. But
That doesn't do
it
it
does
for you.
not. No, it doesn't. To me, um, I know that I mean I feel like I eat well at Mrs. V's, and I have a lot. There's no one taking care of me. I'm still taking care of me, right? The idea is Mrs. V's, somebody else is taking care of me, and I don't have the responsibilities of other things when I'm at Mrs. V's.
Is it possible
And you
that
just
you could work it out with Kevin, your brother that you live with, that maybe he could do more cooking for you and you could be taking care of mom so that somebody is cooking for you?
know, because he would make me stressed out even more. He's not the one that I would put that responsibility on. That would just be like a burden
For you or for him?
for both. I mean, I would just see it that way, right? He already thinks he does a lot, and he does do a lot more. I mean, he usually fixes mom's breakfast, gets her out of bed, gives her a lot of times gives her her meals or helps her eat her meals,
I see.
and to say, oh, and make my food for me too,
Yeah.
you know.
What about batch
So
cooking, like on a Sunday or Wednesday, like batch cooking a lot of food that you could eat quickly at home and then get over to the lockers to do something for yourself?
I don't like to reheat food, and I mean, I have batch cooking. You don't have to batch cook breakfast. My goal is to actually plan it so that it's just, okay, here's the bowl that you say, use the same bowl. Just pull the eggs out, crack the eggs in there, put in your cream, throw it in the oven, put on your cheese, put on, whatever else you're going to eat with it, or do the thing. It's really just it's a planning thing more than well, batch cooking is planning, but I don't mind the time. It doesn't take that long. That time part is not part of the time element. And I don't like starting with like super cold food. I like starting with room temperature kind of ingredients.
Yeah. Well, I felt this morning I was hungry and I wanted to eat some cheesy eggs with sausage and a little bit of salsa on it. That's what I put on my food plan. And I didn't want to make the food. I just wanted to sit down and eat it. So I had to make the food
Mhm.
because I'm alone. And I did make 5 eggs, and then I split it in half. And then it's 2.5 eggs today and 2.5 tomorrow. So I like to double batch that because then tomorrow I just heat it up and then I'm ready to go. And that
Yeah,
helps me.
yeah, yeah. I think once I get, part for me, it's a big thing about just routine. I just have to change my routine, and it's taking a lot to change that routine. But, I don't go to Oberweis anymore for chocolate malt and haven't done that for months, so I've changed that routine. You know?
Yes, very good. We are. We're definitely getting less carbs into our system. And we didn't talk a lot so far about what we're doing for our carbs, but on our next episode, we can maybe talk a little bit more about that. This was kind of more like the ins and outs of how do we create healthy eating in our life. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking some more about it on our next video.
All right. We'll talk to you later, guys.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.